The Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
Lawmakers largely welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as he visited the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday. Outside, however, thousands of people protested his speech to Congress. Press freedom advocacy group Reporters Without Borders supported the protest.
Due to his refusal as Israeli Prime Minister to take any meaningful measures to stop the massacre of journalists in Gaza and to ensure the protection, to take steps to ensure their protection, but also more generally to allow the press to work in Gaza.
Reporters Without Borders filed 3 complaints with the International Criminal Court on behalf of journalists, urging an investigation into Netanyahu and Israel's military. It says the complaints include evidence that the Israeli military targets journalists.
Right now on your screens, NYPD officials coming into Columbia University's campus and heading towards...
Meghnad Bose is a Columbia University student journalist who earned praise from the Pulitzer Prize Committee for his coverage of campus protests.
Large sections of mainstream media in particular have let their colleagues down, their fellow journalists down, by not covering as much as they should have the deaths and seemingly systematic killings of these journalists that have been happening since October last year.
Earlier this year, the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, told NBC News that it takes all operationally feasible measures to mitigate harm to civilians, including journalists. It added the IDF has never and will never deliberately target journalists. The Committee to Protect Journalists says at least 111 journalists and media workers have died covering the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, making the conflict the deadliest period for journalists since CPJ began keeping records in 1992. Lebanese photographer Christina Assi survived an October strike by Israeli forces, but lost a leg. The AFP photographer carried the Olympic torch in Paris this week.
It's amazing and heartwarming to see all these people cheering after we survived a targeted attack as journalists, and I hope what we did today honors all the journalists and our colleagues and friends who have been killed this year.
Many reporters covering the Netanyahu protest on the Capitol told VOA that they have not forgotten the journalists killed in Gaza.
I think it's really important for us as journalists to stand up and to demand that journalism is not a crime. And we say that in Russia, we say that in Ukraine, we should also say that in Palestine.
The International Criminal Court prosecutor in May sought arrest warrants for Netanyahu, the Israeli defense minister, and 3 Hamas leaders on accusations of war crimes. Israeli officials say their campaign in Gaza is not aimed at civilians, but at the Hamas militant group that attacked Israel in October. Robin Guess, VOA News, Washington, D.C.